All right, good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? I know it's a big room. I have a little voice. I don't. Can you hear me okay in the back? Perfect. When we call it the raffle numbers, then you'll be able to hear everything. All right. So, good evening. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Just an amazing turnout. So I'm pretty excited. I had, actually, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Chris Beecher. Thank you. Newly appointed, freshly minted Fire Chief, East Longmeadow Fire. I had this really cool introduction I was going to do tonight, and then I left it at work, and I had already left really late, so I said I'm going to wing it. And then I didn't have anything to wing it with. So what we're going to do to kill a little bit of time here is, and I know this is a big lift for a lot of folks here. We got a lot of people. We're just going to go table by table. And I did this at Steve Ryback's retirement as well. Worked out really well. Table by table, everybody just stand up, take about 10 minutes, talk about how well you know Paul, maybe a funny story. I know there's a lot of tables. We will get through it, I promise. We have the room till late. So we'll speed it along if we can't get there. But I think we're going to do okay. We don't have to do that. We can skip it. All right. So we do have a really nice program tonight. We've got a lot of people coming up to pay honor to Paul. I don't really have any funny stories because my bosses are still here, so I can't tell any of the funny stories. But other people will come up here and tell funny stories about Paul. All right, so without further ado, we'll kick off the evening. Ed McCandless is going to come up and talk a little bit about his experiences with Paul. This is going to go one of two ways.
All right, well, front and center.
2 glasses of water?
2 glasses of water.
It's all you, buddy.
Thank you, Chief. Can everyone hear me okay? Yep. Okay, good. I spoke earlier this afternoon at a presentation for the Chief, and I was legitimately accused afterwards of not picking my head up and making enough eye contact. In my defense, the microphone was permanently mounted down around here, so maybe I should have had my 11-year-old do it. Well, now the mic is in my hands and I am keeping my head up. Good evening, everyone. Quick round of applause for our new Fire Chief, Chris Beecher. I'm back on shift Monday morning, and I truly can't wait. I'm excited to see what Chris has in store and his leadership style and all that good stuff, but genuinely looking forward to it. So as Chris said, my name is Ed McCandless. I'm with the East Longmeadow Fire Department. And in addition to my traditional firefighting roles, I also have the unique opportunity to serve as the department's self-appointed department historian. And tonight is certainly a historic night. It's great to be up here and to say a few words. So everybody have a few minutes because I got about 11 pages here. But I made sure the font is big so I don't lose my place and I don't bore you to death. So I think I speak for everyone in the room when I say congratulations to Chief Morrissette. Congratulations, Chief, on your retirement. I would first like to welcome all of the guests among us tonight. Tonight we are joined by members of Paul's family and friends, associates, colleagues, and town residents of various backgrounds. Guests tonight include East Longmeadow Town Manager, Mr. Tom Christensen, as well as members of the East Longmeadow Town Council. Among us tonight are also members of the town's former select board, as well as the town's historical commission. We are also in the midst of many members of the Western Mass Fire Service tonight. Those include members both active and retired from Paul's department, as well as those of many neighboring communities that he has worked with over the last several decades. Within that group are members of the Western Mass Fire Chiefs Association, as well as members from the State Fire Marshal's Office. I welcome you all here tonight. How's my eye contact? Okay, doing okay. Sorry. So the Deputy Chief, now Chief, Deputy Chief Beecher approached me a couple months ago. he said, "You got a second? Can I ask a question?" I said, "Sure, what's up?" And he said, "You know Paul's retiring." I said, "Yeah, I heard a rumor." And he said, "Could I trouble you to say a few words?" And I said, "That's fine." And you could have seen the weight lifted off his shoulders. He goes, "That's great, because I was thinking about it, and you're one of the only people here that's really known Paul for a long time. You're not afraid to get up and speak in front of people," which, okay. And lastly, he said, "I always have really good stories." So I've compiled a few of those tonight, and I hope we can all enjoy them. And I told Chris I'd be happy to come up here. All right, page 2. So I would describe my words up here tonight as a map of Paul's 33 years with East Longmeadow Fire. And a crucial part of every good map is a key. You need to know what you're looking at, right? Landmarks and such. Tonight we're going to go over some career highlights, some fun times that I remember with Paul, and what I refer to as some of Paul's lesser-known special talents. So I'm going to make a couple of faces here. I hope the paramedics don't think I'm having a stroke, so nobody rush up here. So there's 4 basic faces of Paul. Tonight, you're looking at Happy Paul. Secondly, there's Paul. I listed it as normal Paul, or Paul at baseline, which is pretty much just your standard. We have Grumpy Paul, which is more of a shoulders down. And lastly, and I have to keep it G-rated tonight. I think we all know what WTF stands for. We have WTF Paul, which is like a full-on. I have personally been able to coax that face out of Paul on more than one occasion. And part of that map that we're exploring is Paul's voice. I'm going to be quoting Paul tonight. And anytime any member of the department is speaking as Paul, we automatically default to Paul's voice, which is kind of a grainy, "Hey, I'm Paul Morrissette, the fire chief, blah, blah, fill in the blank." So if you hear my voice change, that's Paul. So I'd like to welcome our special guest tonight by using just 2 very simple words. Oh, I hear a siren.
I hear a siren.
Chief Rigney? Oh, okay, we're good. Okay. I'd like to welcome our special guest of the evening with 2 simple words that he uses on a pretty regular basis. If you've ever talked to Paul on the phone, whether you've been the caller or the callee. Wait, what is it? Yo. And sometimes, this is more kind of like Linda's realm, but you'll get a Jerry Seinfeld-inspired, "Hello!" So everybody pick their favorite, and on the count of 3, let's welcome our friend Paul. 1, 2, 3. Yo! Hello. It doesn't matter if it's noontime or 3 in the morning when the phone is, yo. So, I love it. All right, sip of water. All right, so we've laid out the ground rules. So Paul's background. Paul was born in October of 1962. Paul was born in October of 1962 and has been a lifelong resident of East Longmeadow. Paul attended East Longmeadow Public Schools and graduated from East Longmeadow High as a member of the class of 1980. And every year when November comes around, when my birthday, he's always like, he knows exactly how old I am, because a little secret, I was born the same year he graduated high school. I'm waiting for WTF Paul to come out. After completing high school, Paul became a member of the blue-collar workforce, using his hands and skills to make a living, also while attending community college part-time. Prior to joining East Longmeadow Fire full-time, Paul's career was working for Mayberry Material Handling in East Longmeadow, a prominent local business just down the street from here, which to this day is always expanding and innovating. While there, Paul held the positions of Installation Department Manager and Installation Supervisor, Sales Coordinator, and finally, Senior Sales Engineer. It was during his tenure at this local business that he joined East Longmeadow Fire as a call firefighter in 1991 at the age of 28. When approached by his boss, John Mayberry, Mr. Mayberry, I saw you here tonight. Mr. Mayberry, hello. When approached by his boss, John Mayberry, and asked if he was leaving the company to go be a firefighter full-time, Paul simply reassured John that there was absolutely nothing to worry about, and that the fire department was, as Paul said, and I quote, "It's just a hobby." Well, he took, whatever. So, as I was putting my notes together, I'm like, 1991, okay, let me think about this for a minute. So about 2/3 of East Longmeadow Fire's membership right now was either in diapers or not born in 1991. And I'm not making that up. I myself was a 4th grade student at Mountain View Elementary. The U.S. declared victory in the Persian Gulf in Operation Desert Storm. Tim Allen's Home Improvement made its debut on ABC. And a gallon of gas was only $1.14. Yeah, that was a long time ago. In 1995, Paul became a career firefighter, graduating that June as a member of recruit class number 110 from the Mass Fire Academy. In 2000, he was appointed to the town's fire inspector. In 2003, he achieved the rank of lieutenant and also served as the department's newly created hazmat officer position. 2006, he was promoted to the rank of captain. In 2011, he became a member of the District 4 Regional Hazmat Team. In 2012, he became the chief of department. In 2017, he became the town's emergency management director. He holds both associate and bachelor's degrees in fire science and safety technology. There's a lot of stuff on this page. In 2019, he obtained his executive fire officer accreditation from the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland. Just to give you an even further idea of how long Paul has been in the fire service. I'm looking at grumpy Paul right now. Just to give you an idea of how long Paul's been in the fire service, here are a few things that Paul was able to experience firsthand. When Paul came on, he wore long boots. To the non-fire service people, those are the old roll-up rubber ones that came up to basically your waist, and then they rolled back down. This is before bunker pants. He wore long boots. When Paul came onto the fire department, you still had to manually activate the pass device on your breathing apparatus. When Paul came on in 1991, portable radios were not issued to every member like they are today. They were only given to officers and senior members, which actually in hindsight is not a bad thing. Paul is the last member of East Longmeadow Fire that ever got to ride tailboard on a fire engine, which I am genuinely extremely jealous of. I was certainly born too late, but that's a different story for another day. When Paul came on in 1991, 3 of the 5 apparatus in our fleet still had open cabs. Yeah, no seatbelt buzzers, no electronics, just getting rained on, you know? He is also the last full-time firefighter to have worked out of the old Maple Street Station, which, if you're familiar with East Longmeadow's Rotary, is where the Walgreens currently sits. Yep. I know, a long time ago. All right. Here, this is the part that comes from the heart. I'm going to call this My Time with Paul. So I joined the now defunct Fire Explorer Post, which was basically a junior firefighters program, back in October of 1995. I was one of those kids who had grown up wanting to be a firefighter when I grew up. Now that I had a slight foot in the door, I wanted to introduce myself and make myself known to anyone who would notice or even pay attention to me. With the permission of Chief Wallace. Chief Wallace?
Yeah.
There he is. How you doing? With the permission of Chief Wallace, I was able to come down to the firehouse for 1 hour a day from 11 until noon during the summer of 1996. I was eager to learn the daily routine and see firsthand what exactly happened in the firehouse on any given day. And what's the most important part of the firehouse?
Kitchen.
Okay, here, kitchen.
Food? Fire pole.
Food, fire pole. We don't have fire pole. What makes a firehouse great?
The shit talk.
There's kids in the room. Who said it? The firefighters make the firehouse the best thing. That's right. The firefighters make it the best. The guys, of course. So I quickly got to know the day guys, as they were commonly referred to. There were 7 men working Monday through Friday during the hours of 8 to 4. They were under the command of Chief Bob Wallace. There was Richie, Brian, Steve, Gary, Frank, Sean, and Paul. Paul was the junior man of the group and the second youngest in age. Everyone naturally had their own personality and set of quirks which I quickly began to pick up on. My time during that summer was both exciting and educational. Not only was it a job shadowing experience, but also a study of people in the real world. The guys were nice and willing to talk to me, which I was grateful for. But Paul was sometimes a hard read for me. He was never mean or disrespectful. Really? Yeah. He was never mean or disrespectful, just a hard read. But I did notice that Paul was always doing something. Running out in one of the department cars to grab something at Ace Hardware, doing station and equipment maintenance, or working on a special project. Paul was always moving. From my lowly perspective, he was the busiest guy in the place. I admired him and wished to earn his friendship at some point. Returning to high school that fall, my 10th grade English teacher gave a unique assignment to us students. We needed to start thinking about a career path. You know, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I already had that part figured out. But the assignment was to pick somebody, anybody, in our chosen career path, something that we wanted to do. And we had to compile a simple 10-question list and find somebody. And this is before the internet, so think about that for a minute. 1996. And mail the letter out or hand deliver the letter, however you had to get it to your chosen person. I remember one girl, she actually wanted to become an astronaut, wrote a letter to NASA. Another kid wrote a letter to the Boston Celtics and even got a response back on some fancy letterhead and plaque. Who was I going to write my letter to? Yep. I was eager to gain his friendship, so. There were 6 other guys in the building, but there was something about Paul. I think it was his cool mustache that he used to have. Yo. So I compiled my required 10-question survey. I dropped it off in hand to Paul at the firehouse walking by from school one day, and I waited. And a few days later, I had the survey back with all my questions answered. It was really cool for me, and I couldn't wait to get back to school and be one of the first ones to get their thing back. They were all the cliche questions that you would expect a 16-year-old kid to ask, but I had answers. It was a great thing for me to get it back, and I felt as if Paul and I were maybe becoming friends. The turning point where I knew I had made it, I had struck gold, was the fall of 1996. There's a picture that I've donated to the PowerPoint. I don't know if it's in there or not. The picture tells the story better than me. But it was at our annual open house, October of 1996. Paul was there that day, obviously as a firefighter, and his assignment was to be up on our old green Pierce ladder truck. He had the ladder fully extended and shooting water into a neighboring parking lot, an old, I think it was Shawmut Bank probably, the old Shawmut Bank building. And he was just up there doing his thing, looking around, probably looking around at all the people, taking it in, spraying water. And I was there that day too as an explorer. I'd been involved with the post for roughly just about a year at that point. And I was walking by and he said, "Hey Ed, you want to come up here a minute?" I don't think I've ever moved that fast in my life. So I clambered up to the turntable, and Paul was kind enough to allow me to work a couple of the little toggle switches to change the path and the flow of the water and change the pattern, It was like, you want to talk about a high. About a minute after, literally after a minute that photograph, which again, I don't know if it's up here, but a minute after that photograph was taken, I got absolutely screamed at by one of my Explorer advisors because apparently we weren't supposed to be on the trucks if the engines were running. It was some unwritten rule that I apparently had failed to read. So it was cool in the moment, and then I got screamed at. But thank you. I don't know if you remember that, but I do. Water break.
Easy on that. I'll take a bathroom.
Easy. So fast forward a couple of years, I myself had graduated from East Longmeadow High. Mr. Ficero, where are you? He was my principal and kind enough to let me out of high school, so I appreciate it. I wasn't very smart, but I was always polite, and I think that got me some brownie points. So fast forward a couple years, I myself had graduated from East Longmeadow High and was now myself a part of the blue-collar workforce. I was patiently waiting for East Longmeadow Fire to have a hiring for some call firefighters, something that had happened periodically every few years or so. In 2001, the chance to join came along. Myself, Ben Cody, and 2 other members who were long removed from the department began our year-long journey of what we called in-house training. Paul was tasked with the assignment of being the trainer of our class of 4 members. We met weekly, sometimes more, to do bookwork and practical skills before eventually moving on to challenge the state exams. We were the first of several call firefighter classes that Paul would teach and ultimately oversee. We're burning through these pages. In January of 2003, I would myself start as a full-time member of East Longmeadow Fire, replacing Paul as the junior guy, a spot he had held on to for 8 long years. Now we replace people about every 3 months. So, yeah. Paul gets an award for longest standing junior guy. So he was the junior guy for 8 years until I came along. I would go on my own adventure for 11 weeks to the Mass Fire Academy as a recruit. During this time, Paul was very involved in my progress as well as my academics. At the Fire Academy, we would take a weekly quiz every Monday morning. It was based on the previous week's materials and always had a large portion focused on fireground hydraulics, which again to the non-fire folk is basically water flow equations. You know, how much water is your hydrant giving you, how much water is going out of the truck, yada, yada, yada. So large portion on fireground hydraulics. So I had the basic formulas down, but I got a little flustered as the weeks went by and the scenarios became more advanced. Linda and Paul were kind enough to welcome me into their home on Sunday nights. Linda would typically cook an amazing meal while Paul and I would go over pumping scenarios and work on the hydraulics worksheets from the academy. We would then share dinner and a few laughs before I had to head home and go to bed and get some sleep before my long drive out to Stowe. It was in the middle of winter too, so it was a long, miserable drive. A few weeks into my recruit time, Paul's stepdaughter, Stacy. We're going to mention everybody before the night's over. A few weeks into my recruit time, Paul's stepdaughter, Stacy, caught wind of what we were up to on Sunday nights. And Stacy's very academic and very smart, unlike me. And she was like, "You guys are doing what? This is awesome. Well, you're welcome to join in. But I still have to take the quiz tomorrow, so make sure I learned something out of this." So Stacy became involved in my tutoring as well. And yeah, she actually enjoyed it. Mind blown. Whatever. So, and I'm forever grateful for that. So thank you. Thank you. So is Chief Burnett from Palmer Fire here? He said he was going to be here. Liar. Well, Chief Burnett from Palmer, who unfortunately is not here tonight, he and I were brothers in the academy. We were a couple of guys from Western Mass, and we naturally gravitated toward each other because we were in, you know, he's a, what's a person from Palmer, a Palmeridian? You know, he was a Palmeridian, and I was a full-blooded East Longmeadow boy. So being out in Stowe, we were in a very, very foreign land. So we quickly became friends and quickly embraced each other's lack of excitement about being out there for 3 months during winter. And we would typically end up at the Hudson 99 doing what grown-ups do at a bar. We were doing our own hydraulics equations. We would have a 25-ounce vessel, and then we would have 0, And then we would repeat the evolution to make sure we were good at it. We did that a couple nights a week. We were usually there doing hydraulics on Monday nights, the day after the quiz, right? And every Monday night, my little flip phone, this is 2003, my little flip phone would be on the bar. It would start to, it says Paul. Billy, I gotta take this. Hello? Yo, how'd today's quiz go? And depending on the score I had gotten, sometimes I get a little sweaty. But sometimes like, oh, I got a 94 today, or something like I got an 82. So some weeks were better than others. But I always got a Monday night phone call from Paul to see how I was holding up and see how my quiz was. So I appreciated his investment in my career. Upon my return from the Mass Fire Academy, one of the main focuses for me was driver training. What seemed like every day I was out in one of our engines. As the fire inspector, Paul naturally performed fire inspections. Commercial properties, houses, restaurants, nursing homes, all of them. Paul performed the inspections. I would chauffeur him around town, almost chauffeur. It's French for driver. I would chauffeur Paul around the streets of East Longmeadow, getting to learn the streets, getting to learn the trucks, and quickly learning myself that Paul knew just about everybody. And I mean, literally mean everybody. He's one of those guys that you can't take him anywhere. It was mind-blowing how many people Paul knew. Next chapter, meeting Christy. Lauren?
Yeah.
So did you know that one of Paul's special, remember I said we're going to go over special talents? I have 3 tonight. First of Paul's special talents is getting people together. Who would have thunk it? In January of 2005, Linda was working at Meadowbrook School as a paraprofessional in a first-grade classroom. The teacher had gone out on maternity leave, vacating her spot for the next several months, all the way up until that summer vacation. So roughly 5 or 6 months or so. My now wife, Christy, applied for and was hired to the full-time, temporary long-term spot. And Linda came home and told Paul all about how she had found the perfect girl for Ed. Paul told me about this mystery girl almost every day for at least the next week. Linda says she's really compatible. We should probably go meet her. You gotta meet this, like, all right, you know, and I was wildly single at the time, you know, and I wasn't opposed to finding Mrs. Right. You know, how old was I? Oh, 22, 23, whatever. Yeah, I wasn't opposed. So about a week after hearing about this mystery girl, Paul tells me one morning, he goes, hey, after lunch, we have to go out to Woodbridge Drive and change this light bulb. There's this, off of Allen Street, Woodbridge Drive has a wood bridge over it, and up in that wood bridge is a light bulb which would every couple of years burn out, and we would have to go with our ladder truck and put the ladder up and change the light bulb out. So he goes, yeah, we're gonna have lunch, we're gonna go out to Woodbridge Drive and change the light bulb, and then after we're gonna swing by the school and meet that girl. All right, cool. So we hopped into that old green ladder truck, we changed the light bulb, and we went and we met that girl. So next month we'll be been married 18 years. 2 kids, 1 mortgage, 1 home equity line. Later, here we are. So thank you, Linda and Paul.
Ed, this is Christy. Christy, this is Ed. Ed, give your number to Christy.
Yeah, it was
Christy,
very
give your number.
It was very straightforward.
Yeah.
Very straightforward. Yeah.
Had to be.
It had to be. So I remember when Paul became the fire chief. It was certainly something that he had put much time, thought, and effort into. He embraced the position, and in doing so, took the department to new levels during his tenure. Paul would be responsible for expanding the hours of operation from 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, then on to 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. He also would incorporate fire-based EMS. We started doing initially engine company responses with an outside ambulance pulled from somewhere, then onto our own basic level ambulance service, finally finishing with paramedic level ambulance service. It was a relatively quick process that certainly had its share of growing pains. But at the end, or in the end, I should say, the town would now have its own professional EMS service and the opportunity for employment for those looking to become firefighter paramedics. In doing so, it also created 2 captain spots, which provided career advancement opportunities for those seeking it. And yes, the East Longmeadow Fire Department is now a 24/7 service since December of 2018. We go to some of our lesser traveled corners of town sometimes for a call, and the demographic is usually older, but they'll say, "Oh, are you still volunteers?" You know, yeah, it's cringe, yeah. No, we're there all the time. So yeah. So if I had to pick a downfall of Paul becoming chief, I have one. And it's genuine. And that is that we'd be losing another one of his aforementioned special talents. Remember, there's 3 of them. That's number 2. One of Paul's special talents is that he's a very hands-on person, and he's a great problem solver. He's well-versed in building construction, carpentry, mechanics, electrical, plumbing, and the like. Once Paul was off of the fire engine and now into the chief's car, the guys, we now lost that hands-on level of just stuff, you know, the bread and butter of firefighting. We lost that aspect because Paul was no longer with us to kind of, you kind of had to learn it by yourself or, build on top of what you already knew yourself. But Paul was one of those guys where you could ask him any question about anything, and like that, he had an answer. A couple of calls that I remember vividly with Paul. I could stand up here all night, but I won't. But there's just two notable ones. Don't know the date, don't know the year, but again, it involves our old green ladder truck, and we had a reported fire, chimney fire on Brook Street. We don't have a lot of 3-story houses in East Longmeadow, but this, of course, was one of those 3-story houses. First one in on the left from North Main Street. I was in my natural spot at the driver's seat. Paul was my, I think, captain at the time. A couple guys in the back. We swing onto Brook Street, a large amount of smoke coming out of the chimney, and so we definitely knew that there was something going on. Paul gave me the quick order, get the ladder to the roof, which I did. The guys were doing their thing. He was doing his thing. I did my thing. And next thing I know, I'm up at the turntable watching Paul, the oldest guy on the truck, being the first one up the ladder. And he made me nervous that day because the house was kind of far off the road, and the peak we were going to was very high. He literally had 1 foot on the last rung of the ladder. He had his other foot on the roof of the house. And at one point, I think he was upside down doing some kind of acrobatic work, trying to get the squirrel cage off the chimney so we could get access. And I genuinely remember standing there thinking, how the hell am I going to tell Linda that Paul fell off the roof today? And it was terrifying. But he didn't. He's here tonight. But you scared me. Second response that I remember with Paul, WTF, Paul's coming out. Yeah. We were still Monday through Friday for our staffing, so we were not staffed weekends yet. Sunday morning, response to the town of Wilbraham for a reported commercial building fire in Boston Road. Special call for our ladder truck. We already knew we were going to work before we even came in from home to get on the truck to go. So a lot of adrenaline, a lot of excitement. We have a long drive ahead of us and some fun stuff to do when we get there. So of course everybody's coming to this one. I again naturally hopped into my natural favorite spot, the driver's seat. Paul climbed up into the cab next to me as the captain. Ben Cody, where's Ben Cody? Ben Cody, Matt Tarowski, and another guy who I don't think is here tonight. They hopped in the back, and I thought, well, that's 5 guys. It's a reported fire. We should probably take 6. So I sat there for a minute with the truck running, just kind of waiting. And Paul looks at me. He goes, "While we're young." Genuine WTF Paul, like, why is this truck not going down the road yet? I remember laughing, but I was also scared. Sorry, Paul. And we went to Wilbraham. So, as I was compiling my notes for this speech over the last couple of weeks, one thing that stood out to me is I sure seem to have a lot of old memories of when I was with Paul in that old green ladder truck, that old slime green Pierce Arrow. From training evolutions to service calls, working fires to changing light fixtures, and meeting that girl. Paul and I shared a lot of great times in that truck. Linda, we never went parking in it. We never made out. We never even held hands. Paul was always a gentleman. But there were probably people that thought we had something going on in that old green ladder truck. So I'm not sure how other fire departments in the room here word it, but at East Longmeadow Fire, at least during my time there, the chief has always been referred to as the old man. Never to his face, always behind his back. Doesn't matter what his age is, he was always called the old man. The context could be good or bad. You might hear things in the hallway like, "Ooh, stay away from the old man today." Sometimes you heard, "Oh, the old man's in a good mood." And if something needed doing around the station, you always heard, "Hurry up, the old man's hot on this." Paul's third and final special talent that I'd like to highlight tonight is his singing ability. This is when you knew the old man was in a good mood. In Paul's opinion, he's an amazing singer. Just ask him. You were always reassured that everything was going to be okay for the day when Paul came in singing in the morning, skipping through the door, or when he came back from lunch, or even sometimes from a budget meeting. Singing, belting a tune down the hallway that you could hear from any corner of the building. His tone was always off. His pitch was always off. But to Paul's credit, he rarely, if ever, got the lyrics wrong. I know, right? Weird. Paul was kind enough to share many genres of music with us on those magical days that I'm truly going to miss. Does anybody want to know what Paul sang? Like I said, he explored every top 40 country, classic rock, everything. You'll clear the room out real fast if he sings. Some of Paul's most notable hits include Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks, I Love This Bar and Beer for My Horses by Toby Keith, I Kissed a Girl by Katy Perry. Linda, he meant you. Yeah, or maybe me in that old green truck. And my own personal favorite was Paul's cover of Billy Idol's White Wedding. It sounded like a cat going through a wood chipper. But in his mind, it was great. Yeah. So anyway, we're nearing the end of page 11. Paul, I speak for everyone when I say happy retirement. We wish you health, happiness, and a long and prosperous retirement. Enjoy your time with your family and friends. Take on some new and exciting hobbies. And if you do choose to go back to work somewhere, take a little time off first. You've earned it, buddy. You will always have a place in this department. You will always be remembered for your vision, drive, and determination to bring our department into the modern age. Stop by for a coffee sometime. We'd love to see you. But please, leave your singing at the door. You will be missed. Happy retirement. Because of budget constraints, I wasn't allowed to go past 11 pages because it's department paper.
Unbelievable.
You get enough Miller Lights in me, I'll come up and tell more stories, but we'll be here all night. All right, thank you. Oh, I got to get one more in with the mic.
yo. Thanks, Eddie. Nice job, Ed.
Hey, thanks.
I'm not going to follow that up with anything. But what I will say is this, he does not undersell the yo thing. Like, it's legit. In fact, I said to him the other day, it's like aloha. It's goodbye, it's hello, it's what, it doesn't matter. Like, the yo sets the tone, and you know how the day is going to go. Like, for maybe a third of you in the room who remember the Brady Bunch, you always knew how the show was going to go by the way the kid walked in the house, right? He walked in with a dun, dun, dun. You know, it's a sad show, but if he walked out dun, 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 then you knew it was going to be a happy episode. So if you came in and you got a yo, you knew it was good. If it was a yo. All right, what's going on? So he doesn't undersell the yo. It's a thing. Trust me.
It's a thing.
Thank you. All right, so next up, I'd like to have Town Manager Tom Christensen come up, say a few words. He's way in the back of the room, so we got a few minutes.
Well, shoot. I get to follow Ed.
Yeah.
That's great. Quimby, we got to pay more for a table next year. Well, I don't have to talk about Chief the firefighter, I suppose. Ed took care of that. I only had 7 pages, which is pretty good, but I can wipe off 6. First and foremost, I want to thank you personally for your succession planning. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Beecher, right? He's a great planner. He really is. It really can't be understated where the East Longmeadow Fire Department is because of Chief Morrissette. I mean, I literally could go on for 11 pages about where you've taken this department, and everybody in town thanks you for that. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody that works in the building, everybody that is touched by the department, which is everyone. Firefighter Chris, that's what my kids call you. And Drury, where's Drury? My kids love his stash. Yeah, the boy. There he is. Oh, come on. I'll key in on, and I'll be brief, in case everybody has to go to the bathroom. That's the last shot I take, Ed, I swear. Paul said something at our last department head meeting, which was Chris's first, which was sort of a crossover about how the team makes everything easier. And the fact of the matter is, Paul, you have been making everything easier for everyone, forever. And I'm watching everyone's faces as you're saying that, and they're all thinking the same exact thing. So, Chief Morrissette has accomplished more than most can accomplish in a career professionally. But I think the reason everyone's here is because we're happy to know Paul Morrissette personally. So thank you for everything. Congratulations. I've been privileged to work next to you for as long as I have. Thank you very much.
Hey, Tom, I didn't get a hug.
Thanks, Tom.
And I'm back at my table anyway.
All right. So before we get to our next speaker, Paul just sent me a quick text. Everyone, back to their house after this, just for cocktails and conversation. So the man keeps on giving. It's unbelievable. The deck is huge. Like everyone's gonna fit on this thing. I promise. All right. Next up, if I could have the members of the town council that are present here tonight come up.
On behalf of the East Longmeadow Town Council, it's an honor and a privilege to be here tonight. It's both a happy and sad occasion because many of us have known Paul for so many years. One counselor was even involved in hiring Paul 2 times. So it's definitely something that has come full circle, and we've known you for a long time and worked with you for a long time. We all know how dedicated you've been to the department, but also to the town that you grew up in and continue to serve, and I'm sure you'll continue to do things even beyond your retirement for everyone. It's also worth noting that you've taken the department to a new level compared to what it was when I grew up and how many of our other people have grown up in town. And it's hard to even imagine how different, but for a good reason, things are today. I would also be remiss if I didn't share a funny story as well. And Paul may not remember this, but back in 2009, we were taking a boating safety course together. And part of that was we had to go through all the different exercises and classroom materials. And in order to get your certificate, you had to take a little bit of a test at the end. And part of that test was you had to throw a lifeline to someone that was pretending to drown and hopefully rescue them back to the vessel. Well, Paul did a great job. He threw the rope like you were supposed to into the fake water because we were in a classroom, except he forgot to hold on to the other end of the rope. But it's a good thing he's always done a great job in the fire department in our town.
Hang on to that.
So on behalf of the East Longmeadow Town Council, thank you for all of your hard work and best wishes in your retirement.
So Linda just texted me. She said ignore Paul's last text. So sorry, you don't have to go home, but you're not going to their place. Nope. All right. Next up, if I could call Pat Egloff up. He's the president of the Western Mass Fire Chiefs Association and the fire chief of Westfield Fire Department.
Paul, yo. Yo. "12 pages. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here this evening representing the Western Massachusetts Fire Chiefs Association. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today as we celebrate and pay tribute to a truly remarkable leader, mentor, and friend, Fire Chief Paul Morrissette. This moment is bittersweet, and we bid farewell to a man whose dedication, service, and leadership have left an indelible mark on the East Longmeadow Fire Department and the broader fire service community. Chief Morissette's journey began in 1991 when he was appointed to the call department. From the very start, it was clear that he possessed an unwavering commitment to serving this community and ensuring the safety of its residents. Just a few years later, in 1995, he was hired as a career firefighter, officially embarking on a lifelong mission to protect, lead, and inspire. Throughout the years, Chief Morissette's dedication to the professional growth and preparedness was evident. In 2011, he joined the Hazardous Materials, or HAZMAT team, as we call it, expanding his expertise and strengthening the department's ability to respond to complex and dangerous situations. His leadership abilities and deep sense of duty did not go unnoticed. And in 2012, he was appointed chief of the department, a role he has carried with honor, wisdom, and steadfast commitment to excellence. Beyond his leadership in East Longmeadow, Chief Morrissette has been a driving force in the Western Massachusetts Fire Chiefs Association, where he has served in numerous capacities, including as a member of the Board of Directors, Treasurer, and a key contributor to WEMLAC, Fire Mobilization, and the Bylaws Committee. His influence and dedication have not only shaped our association, but have also strengthened our fire service coordination and emergency response throughout the region. Chief, your career has been one defined by service, sacrifice, and an unwavering dedication to the fire service and the community. You have been a mentor to so many, leading with integrity, compassion, and an unshakable sense of responsibility. Your leadership has ensured that the East Longmeadow Fire Department remains strong, resilient, and always ready to answer the call. Though today marks the end of your official tenure, your legacy will continue to inspire those who follow in your footsteps. Your impact on this department, your fellow firefighters, and the people of East Longmeadow will be felt for generations to come. On behalf of the entire East Longmeadow Fire Department, the Western Massachusetts Fire Service community, and the grateful residents of this town, thank you, Chief Morrissette, for your 33 years of dedicated service. We wish you all the best in this well-earned retirement. May your next chapter be filled with joy, relaxation, and the satisfaction of knowing you have made a difference in so many lives. Congratulations, Chief, and thank you personally. Thank you for everything. At this time, I would like to call up past president of Western Mass Fire Chiefs Association, retired Chief Russ Anderson of both the Granby and Southwick Fire Departments, to help me present a special token of our appreciation for Chief Morissette's dedication to the Western Massachusetts Fire Chiefs Association.
Good evening. Green ticket, if you could take out your green ticket. Oh, sorry. So, Paul has been our treasurer for how many years? Couple, yeah. He's kind of putting it down a little bit. So we kind of went through a little bumpy road for a little while, and Paul became our treasurer and got us back on track. And he, at every meeting, he's instilling in us, you know, you got to do this, you got to do this. And one of the things you get when you retire from it is a trumpet that goes back historically for fire service back in the Ben Franklin days, etc. And you get it gets engraved and all that. But we had a little issue, Paul, in that we were out at professional development last week, and Paul's voice just kept ringing on us because we said, you know, we wanted to go out to dinner. And Western Mass, we had like 30 people out there, and they had an executive meeting, and they said, you know what, Western Mass should pay for this because we're out networking. But in Paul's words, we had to cut something. So, Paul, the trumpet is a great idea. We had to make a couple different alterations, but the thought's the same. So. And we also have got it, oh shoot, it wore off. It says ELF with a nice Sharpie engraving on it. But seriously, there we go. He's known for blowing his own heart, so that's good. What else there is? Pat will take it from here, but congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Anderson. So, in order to get a trumpet like this, you have to spend at least 5 years as chief of the department. Trace, I should have brought my glasses. Fire Chief Paul Morrissette. Paul, I can't read it.
Presented to Fire Chief Paul Morrissette. I should know this, I wrote this thing for 7 years. Presented to Fire Chief Paul Morrissette by the Western Mass Fire Chiefs Association in recognition for 12 years, 7 months as Fire Chief of the East Longmeadow Fire Department.
Thank you, Paul. Chief Stamborski, raise your hand. Come here, come on up. Oh, I know. You're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So Paul was the treasurer of Western Mass Chiefs during right after a difficult time. And some of you in this room, you're going to get this, and some of you won't, but that's okay. So Chief Stamborski is our current treasurer of Western Mass Chiefs. So together, the E-Board got together, okay? And we are here to give you a platinum card from MGM Rewards from the Western Mass Fire Chiefs Association for Paul Morrissette as a debit card. Some of you will absolutely understand what this means. I'm not going to elaborate, so thank you, Paul.
Once again, more than $200. Bars on me!
I would like to call up the president of the not the president? What are you? Huh? Secretary of the Hampshire County Fire Chiefs Mutual Aid Association. Mr. Chief of the Hadley Fire Department, Chief Spanknable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I brought my glasses. Chief, on behalf of the Hampshire County Fire Defense Association, the Hampshire Fire Chiefs, there's a number of them in the room, we just wanted to express our thank you. Personally, I would just like to say, having listened to your fine gentleman firefighter who said you started in 1991 or whatever on the call force. I started in 99. I didn't get the message that you couldn't stand on the back of the fire truck. But my first call, I jumped on the back, and my assistant chief yelled at me and said, "What the heck are you doing? You can't do that anymore." So I appreciate that. There's a number of mentors in the room for me here tonight, but you are certainly one of those top mentors. I can tell you not only the fact that you have lime green, yellow trucks, Hadley has yellow, but you have also been an inspiration and a great help for us. We've modeled our department after Chief Anderson and Granby, but also you've opened your doors to me for information on how we should start our first BLS ambulance service. So I thank you for all that information, and you are truly a pioneer for our fire service, so thank you for that. So on behalf of the Hampshire County Fire Defense Association, in recognition of your 33 years of service to the town of East Longmeadow and regional support through your roles in FCAM, also you were instrumental in fire mobilization with myself and many others in the room, and regional support through your Western Mass Fire Chiefs Association, and also your support, which always runs downhill, to Hampshire County Fire Defense Association. So on behalf of Chief Josh Ellinger, the president of Hampshire County Fire Defense, and myself, we just wanted a small little thank you, and we'd like to have you come up to Hadley and maybe have a little meal on us. So thank you.
Chris Gallipo.
Thank you. No, we're keeping it clean. I was asked, Paul, on my way up here, if you have any pull here Soroy's table didn't get any brownie sundaes. Chief Morrissette, today we stand here to honor you. I am privileged to offer this dedication on behalf of the Hampden County Fire Mutual Aid Association. For many years, you've been more than a leader. You've been East Longmeadow Fire Department's rock, their guide, and at times their shield. This dedication is for the countless nights you stayed late, the tough calls you made when the stakes were highest, and the way you always put your crew and this community first. You have also had leadership roles in the association, helping with many decisions over many years. Please accept this clock from the Hampden County Fire Mutual Aid Association to remind you of all the times you have assisted our association and all the time you will now hopefully have on your hands. As you retire, we dedicate this next chapter to you, Chief, a well-earned rest, knowing you've left your department stronger, safer, and forever grateful. Here's to you with all our respect and admiration.
Bifocals, I'm not going to catch that. All right. We are winding down on our program for the evening. We've heard from a lot of chiefs, past and present, but we haven't heard from the man we've all come here to recognize this evening. So, without further ado, Paul, if you could step up, take the microphone. His speech is on his phone because Eddie used all the paper.
Exactly. I can't find it. There it is. I got it.
And bread, milk. That's your shopping list.
That's the wrong list. Sorry. This is amazing. Yo. How about a better hello? This is amazing. A party's a party. My wife and I, Linda, we like parties. For years we had them at the house. As you become chief, it becomes a little more awkward having everybody show up at your house and leaving your house drunk and then going to a fire call. So that kind of stopped. We couldn't do that anymore. But what I will say is, as I look around the room, I saw everybody walk. I tried to see everybody walk in. If I didn't get a chance to talk to you, I promise I will try. And if I don't talk to you tonight, I'm definitely going to talk to you. But as I look around the room, everybody in this room has taught me something. You know the old expression, it takes a village to raise a child? I tell you what, it takes a village, it takes a town, it takes a community to raise a fire chief. You guys, everybody in here has taught me something. From Danny Burak, when he was running the carnival and watching that guy just make deals with carnival people that are just so shady. But he did it. He did it. And he did it with ease. And I said, you know what, someday I want to be able to do that. You know what? Like 5 or 6 years later, I was running that same carnival. I go around the room. Mike Boucher, who knew me when I was this big, because his family run the business, the same type of business my family ran. Stuff. And when I saw him as a fire chief, for him to fix some of our vehicles, he brought back stories of my family that just made me think, wow, what a place to work, what a place to live, the community of East Longmeadow. Ed went through my history, so I don't need to bring it up. I mean, there were some good times. What Ed didn't talk about was driver training. We were driving our old Engine 3. My feet were up on the dashboard. Ed goes to turn around the corner a little quick. You know where my feet went? Through the windshield. I shattered that windshield. Remember, Bob?
Never paid the bill.
You're right. But the village started early on. My father always said, you know, you need to grow up, you need to get a job, you need to be the productive part of society. Well, you know, the family had a business, we had a body shop. And I said, you know what, I'll go work for my brother a little bit. This will be cool, I'll learn a trade, learn how to paint cars, learn how to fix cars. Well, my brother was 7 years older than me. Thought he knew everything. He didn't. I did. I was a 15-year-old punk kid. He was 22. He didn't know shit. So that didn't work out for me. I was fortunate enough. Somehow or other, I got connected with a company in town called Mayberry Associates. And for me, I was still in high school. John would call my mother up during the week and say, hey, can I take Paul out of school for a few days? My mother would say, you gonna pay him? Yep. You gonna keep him all weekend? Yep. Okay, great. And what I didn't realize back then, that was training for the fire department, because John had a way of teaching us. He'd wake you up at 7 o'clock in the morning. We'd work until long hours into the evening, and you'd want to do it the next day. Kind of like the fire department. You'd work late at night putting a fire out, but you know what? You get up the next morning, you want to do it all over again. So the things I learned working for that company, he let me learn as I went through almost every role in the company. The problem was, I had really good friends that were on the fire department. I said to myself, that's not what I want to do. I joined with them, and I fell in love with it. And I always said, if you're going to do something, you got to do it because you want to do it. And I had to leave. I left John and Sandy, the two of them together. It was a very difficult decision. I came to work for the fire department because I had a lot of friends there. And Bob doesn't remember this, but when we came out of the academy that day, I said, I just want to be a grunt. I don't want to lead. I don't want to be a captain. I want to be an officer. Well, how'd that work out for me? And it was a great challenge. I think one of the biggest challenges for the department was when Steve and Gary, two of my best friends, had to teach me how to drive fire trucks. Neither one of them wanted to do it. Am I lying? I ended up doing it, and look I got to teach other people how to drive, thanks to their help. Bob Wallace was a great chief. I think back then, Steve, we used to call him the king of the one-liners. Super. I learned what to do, and I learned what not to do from Bob, which is a good thing, because as you progress through life, you shouldn't, always copy everybody. As I progressed through my career on the fire department, I made some really great friends. Ed and Ben were like the two of the youngest guys that get hired full-time on the department for years. And they're both still there, and they're both still good friends. What Ed doesn't say about when Linda fixed up Christy with Ed was, there's supposed to be a piece of paper there that says, if anything ever happened to this, you can't come back and blame either one of us. But they've been perfect together forever. As a fire department, everybody needs to rely on everybody. It's a family. It really is a family. And I look around this room, and everybody needs to figure out why we do what we do. Well, if you think about it, the East Longmeadow Fire Department has about 114 family members connected between spouses, the firefighters, the wife or spouse, the children, and my grandchildren. I think I'm the only one with grandkids right now. So you have to have a reason to do what you do. And if you think about it, that's a pretty good reason to do what we do. But if you think about what goes on in the world, think about if you're sitting at your desk in a fire department, just minding your own business, and you get a phone call one Friday afternoon. Steve's going to remember this. A couple other people in the room might remember this. That one of your family members is being extricated out of a car 1,000 miles away. And then it's like, what are you going to do? What you're going to do is you're going to go pick your wife up. You're going to tell her she's going to lose her shit. And then you're going to call your brother up and say, hey, I need a ride to the airport. And you're not going to know anything until you get off the plane on your layover. All you can hope is the people on the other end of that call, the people that are extricating your daughter, the people that are transporting you, are as well trained and as prepared and have the right equipment. Another example, you get a phone call from a niece. Paul, my house is on fire. Diana, what's up? My house is on fire. Diana, is it still burning? Yes. Is the fire out? No. Is the fire department there? Yes. What do you want? Can you come here? Diana, you're 3 hours away. So I pick up her mother, my sister-in-law, I pick her up, and we're driving there. And the only thing in the back of my mind is like, this is Marblehead. They got to know what they're doing. That's all I care about. They got to know what they're doing. Nobody was home. It was perfect. So if you think about it, 120-something people in the East Longmeadow Fire Department. Yeah, we think about it. But your family knows somebody that somebody else is in another fire department may need that exact same help. And that's kind of why we do what we do. You know, everybody wants to help people, but if you bring it to your own self, it's a good reason. Me, I made it this far. I was fortunate. I've had super support. Chief Wallace, Steve Rybacki, Gary, the originals back when I was working. I don't think Marilyn Richards is in the room anymore. Did she leave, Connor? Marilyn Richards, God love her, she hired me twice. I got hired in '91 as a call firefighter, and she hired me again in 1995. Paul Federici, is he around? Paul Federici was the senior, most competent guy. He hired me as fire chief. God love that guy. It was great. And we all know East Longmeadow went through some turbulent times. We changed into, our form of government changed, so it helped us out. Our new town council have been super supportive. I've worked personally for 3 town managers, Denise, Mary, and now Tom. Each had different styles, but those styles all complemented what the town was doing. Tom talked about what I said at the department head meeting, and that's a true story, but it's not me. The town doesn't function with one person. The town has so much good to offer, and the department heads, they complement each other and they help each other. Anybody in this room that's a department head, I could call at any time, hey, I need some help. Just to name a couple, Ryan Quimby, the guy's a rock star when it comes to the IT stuff and anything else. What was that?
Put in the ticket.
Support ticket. Everybody that works in the town, I mean, everybody knows it's a great group of people. The Western Mass Fire Chiefs, you know, it's a room full of type A, I'm an expert personality, but everybody there, they're there at the drop of a hat. You got a bad fire, you need help, they're there. You got an issue, you got a budget question, how would you handle this? You got an equipment problem, you need to borrow a fire truck, you need to borrow an ambulance. These are the guys, without that network, it's not gonna get done. It's just, I could go on and on. One of my best things that ever happened to me before I became chief is I joined the hazmat team. I was appointed to the hazmat team. I said this to a couple of the team members that are in the room tonight, and some of the ones that I've talked to in the past. I walked into a group. I was a captain at the time. When you go to a hazmat call, there's no rank. Whoever shows up first is actually team leader, and then the command structure fills in from down, from there. And it's another room of people that are well trained, well equipped, and they'll do anything for anybody. And again, everybody wants to get the job done. So, and the best people in the world. I wish I could just keep going on. Again, everybody in this room, I've learned so much from, including my wife. Oh. A wise man told me, I'm not going there, Chris, or Joyce, because you know what wise men say.
Love a redhead.
A wise man told me to love a redhead. But I believe a wise woman told my wife that when somebody becomes chief, that every now and then their balloon needs to be popped. I'm not sure who said that, Joan. But it is nice to know. My wife 8 years ago retired to help watch the grandkids. And when I came home, when I came home at lunchtime, and there was 6 little munchkins in my house eating lunch, and the short order cook, the nanny, the girl who was changing diapers still, and all of that. It put a sense of pride, and not just pride, but love into my heart that I married the right woman. And she helped on those days when you think, you know, it's a bad day, you come home and you're grounded again, and it brings it all back. Lynn, if I could give you these. I'm almost done. I know it's getting late, and I think I'm almost ready for a drink. But I'm gonna kind of fast forward now to my trainee back in 2006. I first met Chris real quick. He was delivering firewood at my house with his father-in-law at the time, and he said to me, I think how the words went. He goes, he might have saw the plate on my car or something. He goes, you're on the fire department, yeah, yep. You know, I'm on the fire department. Yeah, I put my application in. And I said, oh, cool. Cool. You might have to quit smoking. You know what happened when he got the letter that he got on the department? He quit and he never smoked again. Good for him. So Chris was one of those guys, when he was going through training, he never opened his mouth except when he had to. No jokes, no stories. Nothing. Like he wasn't like there was nothing between anybody else.
I was there to learn.
He just did it. And now, as you can see tonight, he's got a great gift. He can speak. He came on the department. He did really well. His radio voice was extremely useful the night of East Longmeadow's worst fire, the Bluebird fire, in 2007, when Chief Wallace is screaming on the radio, I don't know what we're going to do. Get me anybody, get me everybody. And that's what Chris did. I think we had mutual aid in from Westfield, the farthest I can ever remember coming to East Longmeadow. But Chris has worked his way through the ranks, and as a captain, even before that, as a member of the department, he's done anything that has been asked of him. He's taken the training. He's presented himself well. Even Tom loves him, that's key. That's key right there. Yeah, for now.
Gets better.
I know Chris. We have different styles, which is great. Chris is going to take the department to a whole another level, and with his style and the people he's going to motivate and train and keep things moving forward. And again, I could literally look around the room and talk about how everybody in here has helped me make it through, and how we have brought the department to the next level. hopefully I get a chance to shake people's hands if I haven't already and give people hugs, which I usually don't do. So after tonight, Mike, no more hugs. I have to go home and shower pretty quick. And to my kids, you guys have put up with a lot over the years, every one of you, and to my grandkids who make this all worthwhile, thank you. If anybody gives you a chance to say hi to my grandkids, and just let them know how much I love them. Thank you.
What's your phone? One other special thing that Paul failed to mention that him and I have in common is that we are both married to redheads. So, has anyone here been lucky enough to capture a unicorn? Right. So we know they feel no pain, right? So I always feel like maybe he just hired me as more of a support network than anything else. It just happened to work out this way. They're unique, to say the least. All right. If I could, before I call up the members of the department, I just want to say personally to Paul, thank you. You're giving me literally a career. I started out, I was on the call department. I was happy doing that. The opportunity to get on the fire department as a career member, I couldn't wait to do it. I was lucky enough to get it, which I guess I should probably thank Steve for retiring. Again, thank you for the career, Steve. I appreciate it. But thank you, sincerely. I've learned so much. Paul was my training officer when I got on. He's continued to just completely, show me how to be a fire service leader, and I am thankful for that. So thank you, sincerely. Thank you. Now, if we could have any of the members from the department that are here, if they could come up, please. Carrie as well. That's right, Carrie. You're coming up. Come on up. So we're going to go with the blue one. Yeah. So we have a couple gifts to present to you on behalf of members of the fire department. My God, there's so many of them. Who is at the station? It's in the corner. Yeah.
I don't like that.
My pen's All right. So first of all, I'd like to present, it's not the bugle from Western Massachusetts, but it looks like one. This one, however, is full of tequila. So to you, we present you this bottle of tequila.
Woo! Yeah, pass it on. Yes. Let's go, Chief.
Okay. All right. And then we'd also like to present you with
hold it up, Brian.
This flag with the department patch, something for the living room.
Right in the middle of your front room window.
Or wherever window lets you in.
Thank you, brothers.
Yeah. And then lastly, we also got you an envelope full of gift cards for your favorite places to go. That's a gift for you and Linda. You're welcome. I believe this concludes the evening's program. So thanks everybody for coming. Great turnout and just a great evening for a great person. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's get up. Let's get up. Everybody up. Everybody up. Let's go, guys. High five. Yes.